Stephanie, hey, Faye, hey, how y'all doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got a lot of stuff that we got to touch on tonight, y'all. So I had to start early so we could get it all in. Welcome. For those of you who don't mind, if you could kindly click that like button as you come in the room, please and thank you. What is going on? What is going on? Latrice, hey. Janie, hey, hey, hey. Sabrina, how you doing? How you doing? How you? Oh, Jesus, Joseph and Mary. It's a lot, y'all. My. It's a lot. Y'all know it gets serious when I pull out that notebook, and the notebook is out tonight because I want to make sure I don't miss anything because there is a lot. A lot to uncover, a lot to talk about, a lot to explain. I want to make sure everybody knows what's going on in the current state of our union, in the current state of all this bouffalet and mayhem. We want to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. There's no misunderstandings. People need to know what's going on. Hey, Tanya, how you doing? I am fine. Thanks for asking. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. We're going to see if a few more come in, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. I haven't even been watching all the protests and the riots and stuff today. I've seen a few, but I haven't been watching it as much today. I had to take a little break, because that stuff can get overwhelming sometimes. But we're going to talk about what we found out today. What does that mean? What other things have happened across the country? Because things are happening all across the country. I keep looking up at this TV at this guy. This guy walking up to this guy. That's all I'm gonna say. Jeez, just shut the whole place down so you can go visit the church, Lord. But you need to go in there and get you some Jesus. Lord, you need to go in there and get you some Jesus. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. You hear me? Hey, James, how you doing? Jeez. And got the unmitigated gall to hold the Bible. That's that bouffalet. That's that bouffalet. Hey, Valerie, how you doing? So we're going to go ahead. Lord, we're going to go ahead and get started. I was trying to wait a few minutes so I won't have to go back and repeat all the stuff. But what we'll do is just have to give people a chance to go back and watch it after the fact. So we found out a couple of things today that are very important. Now, we started out the other day. Let me make sure my volume is up. We started out the other day and we had a preliminary report from the ME, and they were pretty vague with the stuff that they put in that preliminary report. But what it did was, where in the world is this coming from? It left a lot of people. There it is. It left a lot of people. PDQ, hey, how you doing? Left a lot of people in a place where they thought that people were trying to cover up stuff, and it just wasn't a good look. And it was like, So you trying to say that what these guys did this day isn't what actually caused this damage or caused the death of George Floyd? And, you know, I told you the family went, you know, Mr. Crump went and he got an independent medical examiner. Well, it just so turns out they had two. There were two independent medical examiners that teamed up and worked on this, the autopsy, and looked at all the findings. And then they came to one mutual decision. So we're going to talk about the new autopsy findings. We're going to talk about the report, because the county medical examiner, after the independent medical examiners came on CNN today, hey Shireen, after they came on CNN today and they gave their take and their findings, then the county came and they gave their final result of whatever they saw. Keep in mind, well, we'll just go ahead into it. Oh, Lord have mercy. Hey, K Nicole, how you doing? So the new independent, the new autopsy, I can't even talk today, blah. The new autopsy findings from the independent medical examiners. One of those examiners, his name was, I thought I wrote it down, Michael Baden, Dr. Michael Baden. And there was also a Black female. She is the head medical examiner at some university of some sort. I don't remember the name. I'll go back and find out later. But the new results found that George Floyd's death was a homicide, as we expected. It was a homicide by asphyxia due to lack of oxygen/blood to the brain, aka mechanical asphyxiation. So they also said that he was pulseless for about 4 minutes. And they said that there are no other contributing factors to his death. So what I was telling you guys the other night, hey Lavelle, hey Sherry, what I was telling you guys the other night is, woman of God, hey, your brain can only go so long without getting oxygen. After it goes for so long, you either got two things that are going to happen. Well, let me say three. The first thing is God steps in, and it's by the grace of God and nothing else that he decides to keep you here. Okay, that's okay. The second thing is death. The third thing is you're a vegetable and a machine is living for you. You don't have any brain rhythms. Your brain isn't registering anything. So that's what we consider to be a vegetable. Yeah, Latrice, they say 5, but there are some reports that say 10. But either way, there's going to be some irreparable damage either way. Like, you know, my brother-in-law had a situation last year and he went over 6 minutes, but my sister was there administering CPR the whole time. Like, she almost beat him to death trying to make sure he was still here. And that was one of those divine interventions, because they didn't think he was going to be here. He had to be frozen, thawed out, frozen, thawed out, frozen, thawed. But we'll keep going. So the mechanical asphyxiation. This thing right here is basically, this isn't choking somebody out like this. That mechanical asphyxiation means that you put extreme pressure, like that cop with his knee. He put enough extreme pressure on his neck to prevent the blood and the oxygen from getting to this man's brain and to his heart. So what they did was they compressed his breathing in his lungs and his diaphragm. They cut that off. Now, you don't have to have any physical ligatures for that. The mere fact that it was shown on the video exactly how it happened, that's how they were able to come to that conclusion. They don't need to have your knee print in his neck. They know you put your knee on that man's jugular and you cut his ear off. And even before that 4-minute mark, whenever he told you he couldn't breathe, hey, K baby, you went and you did some maneuvering whenever he did move his head a little bit to try to get air, and you put your knee in his neck even deeper. Now, at this point, when it gets to the prosecution trying to say, wait a minute now, wait a minute. See, before we were just saying that your negligence and your trifle behind all your triflingness was the reason that this stuff happened, because we didn't have all these reports and stuff back. But now we have 3 medical examiners at this point saying that the mere fact that you cut off this man's air, you stop his inability to breathe, and they have all ruled it a homicide. A homicide is a death that is not caused by natural causes. So that means even though they put in there before that he had coronary artery disease, they put in there that he had high blood pressure, that don't have jack to do with Geo at the end of all this stuff. What they're going by is this thing called but for. He had all this stuff going on, all of it, but for your knee not being in his neck, even with those things that he had going on, those underlying things, he would still be here today. So now we look at how these charges may end up changing. Because you got these people, even though the county worded it a little bit different, and whenever they go to court, that's their main ME. So they're going to get that information, but best believe their prosecution going to be coming with their 2 professional MEs. And when you put all this stuff together, everything else pretty much jives. You know what I'm saying? It's just that little difference in their wording and how stuff is said. So at the end of the day, stay tuned. Let me get off these autopsy results for a minute. I'll come back to this. Speaking of staying tuned. I don't know if you guys knew that yesterday, Governor Walz, y'all know Governor Walz, Minnesota, he made a decision. He made a decision yesterday. And I don't know if a lot of people were made aware of that decision, but he decided, after speaking to the Floyd family yesterday, and he saw how uncomfortable the Floyd family was with the prosecution that was there now. He saw how uncomfortable many people in the nation were with Mr. Freeman. And no knock to Mr. Freeman, but it is what it is. And the governor made an executive decision. He decided that the trust needed to start being rebuilt. The trust needed to start being restored. And the first step that he took in doing that was moving Mr. Freeman off this case and putting Attorney General Keith Ellingson on the case. Attorney General Keith Ellingson, who was a former congressman. Here, bruh, shout out to you. But he felt that, you know, the family said that they were more comfortable with that, and he went with that. Now, let's keep in mind, let's be honest. Just because you have somebody that look like you and they're trying your case, don't get it twisted. That doesn't necessarily mean that they just gonna, come on now. Come on. So we're gonna keep it real on this one. Hey, Basic Mom. But what it does mean is that now you got a fresh set of eyes on it. Where people were saying that, you know, they were hesitant because this prosecutor worked on this case and he did other things. They were like, you know what, let's just go with this dude right here. This is what the family is comfortable with. And, you know, he basically came out, he made a statement like, I'm taking over this case. I'm honored to take over this case, but I'm not going to make a rush to prosecute these guys. And the one thing that he said that I liked, he said, we have to protect this prosecution. That's what he said. We have to protect this prosecution. and not get pushed into filing some charges that aren't the right charges that could cause them to lose the case. Sweet lady, how you doing? Cause them to lose the case. This is somebody being real cautious about what's going on. So the people that are on here today, I want you to understand this is just going to take a little patience, because we need to make sure they got this mess right. We can't have any missteps and all of this stuff. Can't have any missteps. So now let me get back. Oh, there was one other thing that he said, that they had different levels of and different statutes that they could consider when it came to the other three guys that hadn't been arrested yet. They had different levels of based on their total involvement. There were different levels. You know, you got stuff like aiding and abetting, duty to render aid. That's at least two things right there that they can look at. He kind of put them out there without putting them out there. And of course, because the ME ruled this a homicide, because those statements were made before this was ruled a homicide. Well, before he knew it was ruled a homicide. So now we looking, the ball changes. Everything changes. Everything changes. You're not going to say that this man just, this isn't even about the excited delirium at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because I talked about that a little bit. No, everything changes from this point on. You just had to get that stuff on paper. Everything needed to be documented. So now you start with what you have right now. So let's go back. And let me just put a mark by this so I won't forget to come back to this. Okay. So the other results that we have. And this goes along with the results that I just gave you. I'm just going to break this down. Tanya, they're going to jail. They're all going to jail. But you need to make sure they're charged right. Some of the things, if they get charged with, I mean, they can get charged, they can get arrested, and they can get let back out the same day. So you got to make sure you charge them right. You just like this guy, the Chauvin guy, he was supposed to be arraigned today. I don't know what happened, but that arraignment got pushed back to next week, if I'm not mistaken. So, and they may play that game with him and keep pushing stuff back. Because, you know, at that arraignment, that usually means that you can go ahead and request that bond. We know his bond is set at $500,000. Even though it's set, I don't even know if they're going to give him the opportunity to get out. But the bond was actually set at $500,000 from the day that the complaint was issued by the state. So just hold on. Hold on. Change is coming. If y'all don't see it, change is coming. So here we go. The add-on to the report that I was just telling you guys about. So they ruled it a homicide. Okay, they said that ultimately he ended up dying from cardiopulmonary arrest. And what that is just a sudden, your heart just stops suddenly, period. It just stops. It's almost like a mechanical or an electrical glitch. It just stops, period. So they said that his death was the result of a cardiopulmonary arrest while being restrained by the law enforcement officers. The compression that was on his neck. Okay, this was due to the restraint and the neck compression. They also said that it wasn't just the compression on his neck, it was also compression on his back, which goes along with the video because he had an officer on his back as well. Got the three officers. They had 3 points. They had his neck, they had his back, they had his legs. So the neck and the back, both, according to the second MEs, these independent MEs, they said that those two things contributed to his death, because you're blocking off this artery over here, and then you got your knee in your back, so there's no room for his chest to even expand for him to breathe if there was air and stuff getting to where it needed to go. So basically they made it darn near impossible for the blood and the oxygen supply to go where it needed to go, as long as that knee was on his neck. Now, they also concluded that Mr. Floyd, Mr. Floyd was already pulseless. He was already gone 4 minutes into this. Now, we know that he held him down for 8 and some change. He was already pulseless. He did not have a pulse 4 minutes into Mr. Chauvin having his knee in his neck. Now, that total time, I want to make sure I got that total time. It was 8 minutes. Let me make sure I got that time. 8 minutes and 40 seconds, if I'm not sure. If I'm not mistaken, total time. So you held him down there. He was gone after the first 4 minutes. So basically for another 4 minutes and 40 seconds, y'all just had y'all knee on him and he was already gone. And do we have to have a conversation about intent? Let me move on. Understanding that he was pulseless for at least, or 4 minutes into it, he no longer had a pulse. That's what the medical examiner said. And you can clearly see on the video how he drives his knee even further into that artery that's on the side. That is cause for them to up those charges. When they plan on doing whatever they're going to do, we'll have to wait and see. But that definitely speaks to his intent. They also said, these two independent MEs, they also said that there is no other issue that could cause or contribute to his death. Again, Floyd was dead within 4 minutes after he was held on the ground and the officer's knee was in his neck. That should help me understand we are not tripping. Things are going incredibly wrong. Okay, Bree, I got you. So now I'm going to give you the updated report from the county medical examiner. And what I explained to you guys earlier, that was a preliminary report. They didn't have everything. They didn't have the toxicology report back in. They didn't have the completed autopsy at that particular time. So now, like I said, after the two independent MEs gave their report, then the county examiner came back and they actually gave the results of their report. And basically what they said was they found that it was a homicide. Like I said, that's 3 MEs that found that this was a homicide, that somebody killed him. He did not die of natural causes. It was a homicide. They found that it was a homicide resulting from being strained. Cause of death, cardiopulmonary arrest, complicating law enforcement subdual, restraint, and neck compression. I'm going to give y'all that one more time. Let me give y'all that one more time. Cause of death, cardiopulmonary arrest, complicating law enforcement subdual, restraint, and neck compressions. Once again, It was the officer's fault. The officer killed him. That's it. Hey, Mr. Brown, how you doing? The officer killed him. You got 3 MEs that said that now. I don't care if he worked for the county or not. He said it, darn it. Finally came back again. Floyd died from cardiopulmonary arrest while being restrained by law enforcement. He had an abrupt loss of heart function. Now, I'm going to take this a little bit further because they also put some extra stuff in here. And this goes back to some of the other stuff that I was telling y'all the other day. Now, when I give you this information, don't think I'm giving it to you to make anybody look a certain type of way. I just want to make sure y'all have all the information. So at least over here, you can explain how some things may have went in the direction that they went. But I'll get into it. I'll further explain whenever I get to it. So this ME also stated that Floyd had indications of heart disease, which they said before. Heart disease, including, I can't even read my own writing now. Oh, arteriosclerotic and hypertensive heart disease. Arteriosclerotic and hypertensive heart disease. As well as, I'm gonna just hold off on that. Okay, arteriosclerotic and hypertensive heart disease. So he had a buildup of fat and plaque in his muscles, which makes the arteries like narrow. So that would have made it easier for him to have a stroke. And he had hypertension. But those things had not, he was going to have that whether he was on that ground or not. He already had that going on, but that had nothing to do with his death. They also said that as well as him having these things, the buildup of plaques, the buildup of cholesterol in his vessels, the high blood pressure, they also found fentanyl intoxication and a recent use of methamphetamines. And this is the thing that I was telling you guys about. I didn't want, whenever the stuff was being said, I told you that when he walked away from the car, it did look like he was under the influence of something. But him being under the influence of something had nothing to do with him getting choked by somebody, by a knee. So I want to go back and I want to put this in real quick so that it'll make sense. Because when you do add all these things up, that's why you don't need to mess with people when you don't know what they have going on internally. You're going and doing this stuff that's already against the law. And you don't know what's going on in this man's body. Now, they did figure that he had used something, but you didn't know what he used. You're sitting up here and you're making assumptions. So what I want to do is I want to give you some of the side effects really quick of fentanyl and give you some of the side effects of this methamphetamine. Now, fentanyl is fentanyl. It is what it is. It's an opioid. It is what it is. That methamphetamine, they actually don't know whether or not he was using meth or whether or not he had a prescription drug that was an amphetamine. Now, I can tell you that from what, just looking at his pictures, this is just us talking, y'all. Just me looking at his the pictures that he had that his family was presenting before and the pictures that they showed when he first got there, I can see where the amphetamine and even possibly where the fentanyl comes in at, but definitely the amphetamine because he lost a lot of weight. He was really small compared to the size that he was on the pictures. But again, none of this has anything to do with his death. Nothing. Y'all know I do the drug stuff. I don't do drugs now, so don't go say that. But I do the drug stuff. That's my area of expertise. So I want to make sure y'all have this information. And this is just for your own information. Y'all know we take notes over here. So some of the side effects of the fentanyl. You can have an abnormal nervous system, which causes you to it causes you to not be as alert. You know, you're a little off. You might be a little slow. It's not, you're not catching it like right then. You're a few seconds off. So it messes with your nervous system. A lot of people have an inability to empty their bladder. Now, There were a couple of people on here the other night that said, well, Dr. Rogers, did you see the fluid that was coming from him? My thing was, we don't know for sure that that fluid was coming from him or if that fluid was already on the ground. But if that fluid was coming from him, if it was, then it would be easy to say that as his body was transitioning over to the other side and that fentanyl wasn't having that hold on his bladder like it usually would, then his body would be able to release those fluids all the way that it wouldn't be able to empty as a result of that fentanyl. So it's quite possible that that could have been what those fluids were that was on the ground. I can't say 100% because I wasn't there, but that would make sense. Another thing, apnea. It already interferes with your breathing. Another thing by itself, fentanyl causes trouble breathing. It slows your heart rate down. It slows your respiratory system down. It slows stuff down. Anxiety, confusion, dizziness, drowsiness, dry mouth, and in extreme cases, well, not just extreme, you can have excessive sweating, generalized weakness, which would speak to why they may have thought that he was dropping his weight intentionally. It might not have been intentionally. If he just had this stuff, it depends on that period, that incubation period. How long did he have that stuff in the system? That could have played a role in, why he was a little like, I'm not resisting you, bro. Like, I can't help this right now. In extreme cases, depending on how much was used, you can have abnormal heart rhythm, chest pain. And I want y'all to think about that. Chest pains, coughing up blood, decreased lung function, slurred speech, and unsteady walking. So when you put this stuff together, that's just from fentanyl. I just a couple things from methamphetamines. You have increased heart rate, your blood pressure goes up, your temperature goes up, your body temperature. You can act bizarre, have, just erratic behaviors and thoughts, hyper excitability, irritability, panic, psychosis. Like, you have all these things going on, all this going on. So you on 200, your body already on 200. You know what I'm saying? They're struggling on its own just from these substances, these foreign substances that are in your system. Now, somebody goes and puts their knee in your neck. Now, see, usually your body can work these things out. It takes its little 30, 45 minutes or whatever. Get that out your system and you calm on down from whatever you got going on. But before these things happen, or it could have been right after these things happen, we don't know. You put your knee in this man's neck. Now, I'm calling intentional because y'all said on camera, this is what it looks like when you use drugs. So I'm going to jump out there and say, what if? Because they acknowledge the fact that they thought he was using, right? So if you thought he was using, and if you thought you knew what he was using, and because law enforcement, they don't have to be the drug specialist, but they have training in drugs. They have training in the pharmaceutical industry, the illegal pharmaceutical industry. They have training in that. So they know what some of the side effects are. So you knew off the top that this stuff increases your heart rate, that it does this, it does that. You knew that. And I can bet you money that when he put his knee in that man's neck, he saw his just beating like this. He knew that already. He knew that. He knew that. And I can tell you, as somebody that laid on my brother's knee and felt his last heartbeat, you can feel that in your body. He felt that man's last pulse. He felt that last heartbeat. He felt that. So the fact that he stayed there to make sure the damage was done, then there is no question about his intentions. Now, legally, I'm pretty sure they're going to still fight it. But in my mind, there is no question about his intention. These other men that was on the bottom, I can't speak for them. I don't know how much they knew. But I know that at that point, one of them knew that what he was doing was enough to cut off his breathing, enough to cut off his air, that he could choke by some means. And he told him that they needed to roll him over. So he was cognizant of the fact that what this man was doing, hey, spitting fire, that what this man was doing could possibly kill this man. And he still stayed there. And I'm gonna really go out on a limb with this one now. This is me talking. This is not the people on TV. When that cop checked his wrist and saw that he no longer had a pulse, and he said, I couldn't find one, they stayed there. And I'm going to tell you why they stayed there. They stayed there because that young black guy that was back there talking all that trash said, I know what you're doing. You're cutting off his air so that he can't breathe. Don't think I don't know what you're doing. You think we're stupid. So when they felt that man's heartbeat go, when they felt that pulse was gone and that dude said, I can't find one, they did not move. Because had they moved and acknowledged that they killed this man on camera, even though they did all the other stuff on camera, come on, y'all, they did not want people to know at that particular time that they killed that man. That's why they did not move. It didn't have anything to do with, oh, no, we just gonna wait. No, you didn't want people to know that you killed him. They did not move until the ambulance arrived. And they called the ambulance based on a pulseless male. By the time that guy checked his pulse and that ambulance came, nah, they came a little bit too quick right there. And the fact that when they came, you got a pulseless male. So the first thing that you do as an emergency medical technician, assistant, whatever you're supposed to be doing, is you're supposed to initiate these life-saving procedures. Your thing is to try to save this man's life on sight. And if somebody's not breathing, you don't do nothing else but CPR on sight. All they did was roll this man over. And it wasn't even a regular roll. All they did was roll him over and threw him in the back of the paddy wagon. That's all they did. No life-saving measures. Now, somebody said, oh, well, we tried to do CPR on them in the back of the ambulance. It didn't work. You get them to the hospital. They shot them one time. It didn't work. It didn't work because he was DOA. He was dead on arrival. He died on that ground beside that SUV. Why did you even try to go through? Listen, it doesn't matter when they called the time of death. He died on that ground. So if they're going to put a time of death down, then let's go back. Let me just go back for a minute. So between 8:14 and 8:19, they were doing all this stuff with him, trying to get him in the car. I saw another video today, and you actually saw them trying to pull him through, right? So you saw them trying to pull him in the car to force him in that car. So they're doing that. And so let me add something else on top of this. I almost forgot. So even if he was using these substances, let's just say he was, even if he was using these substances, that man told you that he was claustrophobic. Now, that could have been substance induced. I don't know. But he told you he was claustrophobic. And if that be the case, then he's going to have a major panic attack, and he's going to have some major anxiety when he has these white police officers trying to force his 6 foot and some change, 200-pound and some change body into the back of this police car. So that anxiety is through the roof. I said it was on 200. I'm going to say it's on 500. So between 8/14 and 8/19, this is when they did all this stuff, right? So I'm going to say that maybe the paramedics were called about 8:15, 8:16-ish. The paramedics arrived at 8:27. So if we take and we do the math, you know, 8:27, let's see, 8:15, carry the one, and all that stuff. When they got there, that man was dead. He was already gone. Now I'm interested in seeing what they actually put in the police report, because that's something that we haven't seen. We saw the complaint that was issued by the complainant, who was the state. That was the county attorney that they're talking about, Mr. Freeman. We never actually saw the police report. And I want to see, when exactly did they say this man stopped breathing, and how? What was the reason that he stopped breathing? I am really interested in seeing what they had to say on that report, because if they lied on that report, that's another charge. So this is something that we need to see. All of these things come into play. No, being claustrophobic does not give you an instant death sentence. But there are some other things that can happen to your body. But the mere fact that they were trying to force him into that car like that, they could have done damage there. And actually they did, because they pulled him so hard that they pulled him out up to the other side of the car. That's how he ended up on the ground. Nobody took him down. Nobody clotheslined him. Nobody scooped him up. Nobody did nothing. They pulled him all the way through to the other side of the car, and they pulled him so hard that he landed face first on the ground with his hands still cuffed behind his back. That's how he ended up on the ground beside the truck. So they were responsible for that too. They're responsible for that too. My gosh. So we had all this stuff that was going on today. We've had the protesting that's been going on all week. Let me call this for what it is. We've had the protesting and the rioting that's been going on. Hey, Tori, that's been going. 312. Hey, how you doing, Tori? Hey, that's been going on all this week. People just tearing stuff up. Okay, I would be remiss if I did not say, and I done told y'all this week, the peaceful protests is the one that are about that life, the ones that are about business. They coming during protest times and they taking their tails home. All this extra miscellaneous activity, that's just some people wanting to come to kill, steal, and destroy. That's what they're doing. That it is what it is. It is what it is. So what some of the officers were doing, you saw some of them coming out. We saw it in New York. There were a couple other places that the officers came out, got down on their knee. They kneeled down with the protesters to let them see, listen, we feel the same way you do. And this is what I was saying last night. Don't assume that because somebody is an officer that they ain't feeling this mess too. They just got to go out here and work. But they said, I think it was, it was a chief of police somewhere else too. But kneel down. So was the first report inaccurate about him having? No, Shamika, he did have an underlying health issue. He did. He did have high blood pressure. Um, he did have heart disease. So that was true. What they were saying was all of those things in conjunction with him being choked, were factors that contributed to his death. That's what they said at the beginning. Now they're saying, even though he had this stuff going on, but for you didn't put your knee in his neck, then he would still be here. So yeah, he still had that other stuff going on. He also had some intoxicants in his system, but none of that matters had you not put your knee in his neck. That's what it came down to at the end. So couple things going on. Like I said, you had some of the police officers participating in what was going on. Y'all, I don't think that's damage control. I'm just saying. I told y'all what I do, and I feel the exact same way. Y'all better do something with them. Y'all better get all 4 of them. You better get them expeditiously. But at the end of the day, I know I still got a job to do. Still got a job to do. And if I get called out there to do some work, then I still got to do that work, but I'll be doing it from a different angle because I'm going to be sitting out there talking to people like I understand that, like we're going to have some conversations, but people still got a job to do. So you had some of the police officers that were showing them today, look, we don't go along with this mess. We ain't got nothing to do with this BS. Okay. The other thing that you saw was there was a situation where a guy got shot in Louisville. I want to make sure y'all got all this. There was a businessman that was shot in Louisville. And I can't tell you what his name is right now, but there was some of the protesters. I ain't calling them protesters. Some of these little hotheads came out there and they were actually shooting at the police in Louisville. So they end up having a shootout with law enforcement and the military, some of the National Guard people. And during that shootout, an innocent man got killed. Here we go, a casualty of war. An innocent man got killed, a businessman. So what happened is whenever they tried to get the information on what happened, they asked the police for the body cams. Nobody's body cam was activated during that time. So nobody could get accurate information about what happened. That made it up not to the chief of police. Well, he got it, but it made it up to the governor. And the governor over there in Kentucky, Mr. Steve Comrade, he said, oh, y'all playing these deactivate your body cam games. I'm going to show you what kind of game I'm playing. He ain't even, I don't know if he did anything to those officers or if the, what's his name? The little chief did anything to the officers. I think he tried to do something with them. But that governor, he took the police chief. I might have said the names backwards. He took the police chief, Steve Comrade, and he fired him. That's it. What he said was, I'm sorry, it was the mayor. It was the mayor, Mayor Greg Fisher. He said that Mr. Steve Comrade was relieved of his duties, effective. I want to say immediately, but he's not leaving until like the end of July, the beginning of August. And he called them not having their body cameras on an institutional failure. And that's exactly what it was, an institutional failure. So he fired the chief of police because you should have had your men on lockdown. The fact that they didn't have their cameras on then tells you that they probably didn't have their cameras on a lot of days. Conveniently. Just saying. Institutional failure. So that man is gone. We had mayor in Atlanta, Miss Keisha Lance Bottoms. There was a situation with some officers pulling 2 college students out. I think they went to Morehouse, pulled 2 college students. I mean, pulled them out of the car. I don't know what they were supposed to be doing except being out past curfew. Okay, they in the car. You tell them to turn their butts around and go back in the direction that they came from. They pulled these. I don't know if it was two girls. I know one of them was a girl. Pulled them out, tased the Lord. They tased the girl. I don't know if they tased both of them. I saw them tase one. Fired. Fired. Now people are coming on saying give them a chance, and I understand they are working under extremely dangerous conditions. I do understand that. But that does not negate your ability to use some common sense in what you're doing. I'm just saying. It was a girl and a guy. Thank you, Trevin. No. You don't just go around yanking people out your cars and just tasing people for that's not how this works. Let me take that back. That is how it has been working. When I tell y'all that some stuff is on the horizon, that some stuff is brewing, I'm going to say it again. The worst thing that you could do is wake America up. Been asleep for too long. That's the worst thing you could have done. When you look at these TVs and you look at these demonstrations, and it's more Caucasian people out there than it is black, and these Caucasian people are walking around holding Black Lives Matter signs. Yesterday, I didn't mention it yesterday. I overlooked it. My bad. The chief of police in Minneapolis did an interview with CNN. He came down to the place where they were doing the memorial site for George, where they were putting the flowers and the balloons and all that stuff. He came down there. I saw him and another officer. I don't know if other people came down, but he came down and he said he wanted to pay his respects to Mr. Floyd. He came and interviewed with the young lady from CNN. So what he told her was, and actually, let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up for you. So I won't be struggling with my phone and stuff. Y'all be talking about me. I don't care. But yeah, let me see if I can pull it up for you. Oh, shoot. Okay.
We're at 38 in Chicago.
All right, so I'm gonna put this up real quick for you guys, and I want y'all to listen at what the guy says. You know, we talk about body language and facial expressions and stuff like that. I'm gonna let the whole thing play. I want you to watch the whole interaction, and we'll come back and have a discussion.
Right where George Floyd lost his life. The police chief showed up here. Chief, you came here to do what? We watched you walk up to this memorial. What did you come here to do today?
I came to pay my respects to Mr. Floyd, and I came to just offer prayer for his loved ones, his family, and our community that's hurting. I grew up about a block from here. And this has been so impactful for me, for this department, but for our city. But I also wanted to be in a space where people who love Mr. Floyd, I wanted to be in a space where people are talking about how do we heal and how do we move from this. And so it's going to take time, and I think that everyone here is trying to everyone here is trying to do the best that they can to offer what their feelings, and those are all valid. But I just needed to be here in this space today, and offer my respects.
Let me ask you about what happened with Officer Derek Chauvin. First off, he had 18 complaints filed against him. 16 of those complaints were declined. They did not do anything to him. 2 of those complaints he did get censured. Should he have been on the force in the first place?
Well, we need to absolutely look at the record of those types of complaints that officers or employees get throughout. There's all types of other things that come into play in terms of whether it's grievances and arbitrations and those things. But at the end of the day, our community members need to know that the men and women that put this badge on, that they are doing so in service to them, and they should not have to doubt. They should not have to doubt the integrity and if they're going to be treated in a compassionate and professional way. And so those are things that as we move forward, we need to get better in terms of this profession. Absolutely.
Can I ask you why you decided? I have not seen this happen this quickly before. In past cases, I have covered many protests around the world, including what happened in 2014 in the Michael Brown case in Ferguson, Missouri. Why did you decide that firing the officers would happen as quickly as it did? Many departments do not fire officers that fast.
There are absolute truths in life. We need air to breathe. The killing of Mr. Floyd was an absolute truth that it was wrong. And so it did not take it. I did not need days or weeks or months or processes or bureaucracies to tell me that what occurred out here last Monday, it was wrong.
I want to ask you what you thought when you saw the video that we all saw of Mr. Floyd on the ground, his face smashed into the ground, gulping almost like a fish out of water, with Chauvin's knee on his neck for more than 7 minutes. What did you see? What did that do to you as the chief, seeing your officer on top of this man?
There was a visceral reaction. I will just say that I was emotional. Shortly after I saw that, I put a call out to our local Black ministers, activists, and leaders. We met that morning, and I will tell you that it was, and I asked them to start with prayer, because that's what we needed, and that's what I needed. And so it was an emotional reaction that I've never experienced in my career. Never experienced in my career.
So many times officers are fired and they get their jobs back with the help of the union. They end up getting paid out by the city. Do you see that happening to these 4 officers in the case that you fired?
That's going to be a process down the road. All I can be responsible is for the power that I had, which is an employment matter decision. And so I felt that I made the right decision.
Why did you fire them, though? Was this an absolute violation of guidelines and policy?
In my mind, this was a violation of humanity. This was a violation of the oath that the majority of the men and women that put this uniform on, this goes absolutely against it. This is contrary to what we believe in. And so, again, what occurred to me, it was an absolute truth that it was wrong. Period.
The Floyd family happens to be on live with us and talking to Don Lemon. Is there anything that you would like to say to this family who is in utter despair and grief right now?
I would say to the Floyd family that I'm absolutely devastatingly sorry for their loss. And if I could do anything to bring Mr. Floyd back, I would do. I would move heaven and earth to do that. So I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, Chief. I appreciate it tonight. You know, people, you heard the chief and you saw the chief take his hat off. Sir. Take his hat off. And say that he absolutely is sorry for what
Hey,
happened.
Sarah, can you do me a favor?
to
Can you
George
get
Floyd?
the chief? Is there any way you can get
He
the
said
chief
that
back?
to the family. Yes, I can, Don. Yes.
Because
Yes.
I think
Is there
the
something
family
you'd like
may.
me to ask? Yes.
Yeah, I think the family may have a question or two
If
for
the
him. Can
family
you
wants
just,
to ask a question, please. Yeah,
Which-
I'll turn around. You tell me the question
Absolutely.
and I will turn to him and ask
Thank you,
whatever
Sarah.
you
I hate
want.
to cut you
Whatever
off
the
there.
Floyd family would like me to ask.
Falonis,
No, absolutely.
You have a question
Absolutely.
for the chief?
Couldn't hear you.
Falonis, do you have a question for the chief?
Oh, the question that I have, I want to know if he's going to get justice for my brother and arrest all the officers and convict them.
Can you hear him, Sarah?
Okay, I just want to make sure I've got this right. He wants to know if he
justice
is
for
going
his
to get
brother,
justice
arrest and convict
arrest
all the officers.
the other officers. All the officers. I will ask him that question. Just give me 1 second.
Yes, ma'am.
Chief, may I ask you, I'm so sorry, and I apologize. I'm so sorry. I know, I'm so sorry, but the Floyd family actually has a question for you. They just talked to me in my ear. I'm sorry, the Floyd family is asking me a question. I apologize, I'm sorry. The Floyd family has asked if you are going to get justice for George Floyd by making sure that the other officers are arrested and that eventually convicted. They want to, and I know that there are things that you cannot control, but they want to know if the other officers should be arrested in your mind, and if you see that they should all 4 be convicted in this case.
And this is the Floyd family right now?
This is the Floyd family.
To the Floyd family, being silent or not intervening, to me, you're complicit. So I don't see a level of distinction any different. Obviously, the charging and those decisions will have to come through our county attorney's office. Certainly the FBI is investigating that. But to the Floyd family, I want you to know that my decision to fire all 4 officers was not based on some sort of hierarchy. Mr. Floyd died in our hands, and so I see that as being complicit. So that is about as much as and I apologize to the Floyd family if I am not more clear, but I don't see a difference in terms of the ultimate outcome is he is not here with us. And
you don't see a difference between what Officer Chauvin did and the 3 other officers some of who kneeled down as well, but some of whom just watched. You see that all as the same act.
Silence and inaction, you're complicit. You're complicit. If there were one solitary voice that would have intervened and act, that's what I would have hoped for. Unfortunately,
that's what you would have expected from your officers, yes?
Absolutely, and that did not occur. So to the Floyd family, I hope that's my response. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Do you have another question? What's your response? What's your response to Falonis?
They arrest guys every day. They had enough evidence to fire them, so they have enough evidence to arrest them. I don't know who he's talking to, but I need him to do it because we all are listening. Black Lives Matter.
Sarah, that was an incredible interview that you did, and it was the first time. Hang on, Sarah, but you haven't spoken to anyone at the police department. I'm not sure. Falonis, correct me if I'm wrong. Have you spoken to them directly? So that was really the first interaction that you've had with the police department since your brother's death. So Sarah, in the course of this broadcast, we have been able to connect the family with the police department through your interview.
Right, for the first time. I can't tell you, Don, what that's doing to me to hear them have this conversation through me to the chief. Sorry. To hear the pain in the Floyd family's voice and to have to convey that. I hope that I did the right thing for them because I know that they are hurting so badly. But I do want to recognize that when the police chief, every time I said that the Floyd family has a question for you, He took his hat off.
Yeah.
So he wanted to make sure to be respectful. And I know that they are angry. I know you are angry. And I know you are hurting. And I know it's not enough. You cannot bring George Floyd back. But you heard what he said, that each and every officer who did not speak up against what was happening is complicit. This is the police chief saying that. This is the police chief. Don, have you ever heard that before in your life? I have not. In all of the 12 years I have covered so many protests across the world, and I have never seen a police chief say this. But I know it doesn't cure the ills that the Floyd family is dealing with, and that all the people in this neighborhood are dealing with right now. So I hope and pray that I was able to convey what they wanted to the chief in this first time, being able to hear from the chief directly their questions, their concerns.
Sarah, I think you're right. I think that Chief Arredondo deserves a lot of credit for doing that. And as we know, it's not the chief's role to convict them, but he did speak out about what he thinks. He said that silence is complicit.
All right, y'all. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Hey, Latasha, Big Red. Hey, hey, hey. Shamika, I agree. I think he was sincere. I mean, when somebody else does something and you know that they're wrong, especially if you're in a supervisory role, you know, he has to carry that burden too. He has to carry that too. And yeah, I think this has hit everyone. Just like someone was saying before, you may not have known George Floyd, but, you know, for us, you know, he's a brother. He's our brother. Everyone that this stuff has happened to, they're our brothers, you know, at the end of the day. And one of the things that there were two things. Actually, let me take that back. There were three things that Chief said that stuck out to me. And one of the first things that he said that stuck out to me is whenever she asked him the question about why did they go ahead and, hey, Tamika, why did they go ahead and why did he make the decision to go ahead and fire them? You know what? Let me put this up here. Because somebody want attention today. So I'm going to give them their attention today. Why did he feel the need to go ahead and fire them? Was it because they did the wrong thing? And he was point blank, matter of factly, like it was a violation of humanity. It wasn't about them violating a black man. It wasn't about them violating a man. It wasn't, you know, man, woman, whatever. This was a violation of humanity. You understand? Meaning that you didn't give two flips about this man's life. You treated him like he was inhuman. So just saying something like, yeah, we think he did the wrong thing, and, you know, we need to make sure that, you know, that no, it's a violation of humanity. And he said, period. Like, there's no in between with that. There's no, no in between. And one of the other things that he said was that the officers, even though this officer may have been the one with his knee on Mr. Floyd's neck, these other officers, they were being complicit, and silence is complicit. Being silent means that you are complicit. And I need to go back because I want to make sure that people understand what he's saying. So complicit, this is defined as you are involved with others in an illegal activity or wrongdoing. So that lets you know what he's saying. If you were there with him, you didn't step up, you didn't stand up, you didn't go and push him off that man. That means that you were involved with Chauvin in his illegal activity of killing this man. So what he's saying is, yes, he's no different. These other three are no different from him because they actively participated in it. They were complicit. They are just as guilty as he is. If Chauvin is a murderer, then those three are murderers. If Chauvin is this, then those three are this. They are complicit. This is one of those cases where the hand of one is the hand of all. This is one of those cases. I've felt like, and y'all, the phone line is open. If y'all want to call and voice your opinion about what's going on right now, how you feel about it, how you're being affected by it. I'm putting the number in the chat now. You can call in. But that was one of the things that hit me. That violation of humanity, that was real. That was real, because at the end of the day, that's exactly what it is. It was a violation of humanity, nothing more. Oh, I put Tamika in timeout. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up, y'all. All right, Tamika, let me know if you're back. That was an accident and a half. Let me know if you're back. Type something so I can see if you're back on here. I was trying to get the little troll out the building. PDQ, they do have body cam footage. That's actually what Mr. Chauvin was arrested on. He was arrested based on the body cam footage. Yeah, he was arrested based on that. The first report, and actually, y'all, we didn't see the report. We just saw the complaint that was filed by the state. In the complaint, it said that he died like it was a combination of these things. It was the restraint, it was the high blood pressure, and the high cholesterol and all that stuff. Like all those things together contributed to his death. Those things all worked in concert. But now they're saying, okay, although he did have these underlying conditions, those things had nothing to do with his actual death. So they didn't really change it up. They're just saying at this point, although he had those things were not factors in his actual death. So, and that was probably something that they shouldn't have even, I don't even think they should have included that in that complaint anyway, especially knowing that it was going to be released to the public and just waiting. Well, I guess they were trying to rush because everybody wanted to get stuff done, but you know, that had people getting upset because they thought that they were saying that he died of something else, and that was just a preliminary report. Just a preliminary report. Let's see. How do we go about getting full justice and revising the laws? I'm gonna come back to that. Let me write that down. I was protesting in Chicago last night, and you can visibly see that these officers are physically and mentally trained. Only so many 12-hour shifts you can work. Drained. Only so many 12-hour shifts you can work before it takes a toll on you. Robert Keller, that's true. That's true. Like I said, I've been involved in some stuff, and we had, oh my, it was so much stuff popping off at one time. Just the adrenaline, like, and also running into situations and you don't know what kind of situation you running into. It's mentally, physically too, don't get me wrong, but mentally, it's mentally draining. And when you have to keep going from place to place, your mind doesn't have time to even like really take in what just happened at this particular place. It doesn't have time to process that before something else is kicking off, and you got to take off and go over there and try to get your bearings together so that you can respond appropriately. So I'm thinking at the end of the day that with the officers and with the protesters, because I think the protesters are mentally and you know, emotionally drained, physically, mentally, spiritually drained as well. The ones that have been out there, you know, really protesting and really doing that work. Are really doing that work. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And like I was saying last night, especially when you're out there and you know you feel the same way that the protesters feel, but you still got a job to do. You know, you still got a job to do. And even though people are, you know, trying to hurt you, you trying your best not to hurt them because you understand, but still you got to find a way to balance those things because you got to protect yourself as well. And you just can't let people just go and be beating all up on you. And, you know, you're trying to fend for the protesters too, because you don't want the officers that don't want to do right. You don't want to let them beat up on the protesters. It's like, you taking in, it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in at one time. And that's just a battle. That's a battle. But the people that are really about that life, that are really about protecting and serving, even though there may be some abuse that comes along with it, even though, you know, people may tell you they hate you every day, there's something, it's like you still feel a need to be on that job because if not you, then who? You can't, like all the good people can't leave the force and just leave the bad people there. Somebody got to stick around and try to protect the people. And it's a daily dilemma. It's a daily dilemma. So I can agree with you on that. I say damage control was done because it was people from all over posing as protesters here, and they wasn't black, which means it was planned to destroy, and we swallow the blame as always. 312, I ain't accepting the blame for none of them foolish people, and I hope you're not accepting it either, because when people look at these cameras, they know what time it is. They know what time it is. They know that these are real. These are the operatives. These people are like brought in for real. And one of the things that I saw, I don't know if I kept one of the videos that I saw today, it was I can't remember where it was at. I want to say it was in New York, but it was a line full of protesters. They had to straight go and block a Target because the people were trying to go and tag and damage the Target. And I mean, it was a bunch of them. They stood in front of that Target door. They blocked that Target on all sides. And they told them no. They said, stop. That's not what we're doing. You're not going to do this in our name. And then there was another, there were two young women that, I don't know what news station that they showed up on the other night, but they had video of two women. Now, these were not Caucasian women. These women looked like they were of the Asian persuasion. And they were going on buildings putting Black Lives Matter, you know, F all cops. They were writing that on there. And the girls checked them like, no, you don't put that down, and you putting it in our name, and people think that we're the ones vandalizing. And they had that little spray cans and they were going to work, you know, hashtag BLM. And just to see you have all these, I don't want to call them pretenders, I call them chameleons, because right now they're able to go and they can blend in and they can shape into whatever they need to shape into, like right now, so they can do the damage that they need to do and make it seem like, you know, they're a part of it all. But if you watch them, I don't care if they sit around all day, if you watch them, then you'll realize that they're watching you too. They are watching you too. And I say the people that come rolling up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, no. You didn't come out here to, you came to do some work, but not the right work. We ain't falling for that one. They had the Amish out holding signs. Sorry, I haven't been on Instagram. I'll go and check it. Other countries are standing firm and peacefully getting down to the bottom line of what we really want: peace and justice for all humanity. Right, Sunny B. And I actually saw some other places that were protesting for us. This is just not something that you expect to see in modern day America, but hey, it is what it is. Looting solves nothing. The businesses are covered by insurance. But the thing, the looting, this is just my personal opinion, and I said it before. The looting does, the people that are out there really trying to affect change, those are not the people that are looting and burning buildings down. The people that are looting are thieves, period. They are thieves. You can call it looting all day. I call it stealing. Because if you're not a thief, then it don't matter if that store wide open. You're going to keep it pushing. They're using this as an excuse to go and steal. Some of these people, and all of them aren't outside forces. Some of these people are strategically targeting certain stores that they want particular merchandise from, where on any given day they don't want to pay for it. Now, that's what I saw a lot of when I was watching these live streams on yesterday, and that bothered me. That bothered me. Y'all stand by. Carolina Diamond, who's calling?
Dr. Rogers, this is Basic Mom. How are you?
Hey, Basic Mom, how you doing?
I'm good. Am I watching your live?
Uh-huh.
Are you on live now? Okay.
You're on live.
I'm calling. Okay. I wanna express my little broken heart a little bit, if I may.
Go ahead. Trying to get you up close so they can hear you. Okay.
Okay. Hi, everyone in the chat. Oh my God, there's a relay, Dr. Rogers.
Yeah, turn it down on your end.
Okay, I'm on my house phone. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna walk away. Dr. Rogers, I feel like my heart is very heavy. I don't want to start crying because I've been kind of like, Well, I'm not even near my cell phone. I got my house phone, and I'm in my kitchen. My cell phone is in my bedroom.
I don't hear the feedback now. I heard it earlier.
Okay. I had to walk with it. Okay. What I wanted to say was that I watched this video, and I think it was in D.C., out of D.C., and I realized that a lot of the Caucasian people had these white, look like headbands on their arms. I don't know if anyone saw that or not, but they had these white headbands. I'm calling them headbands. I'm not sure if that's what they were. But it was like some type of group up in there. And those were the ones that were doing a lot of destruction. And in Chicago last night, I saw that video that you just mentioned about the latest spray painting. But I also feel like a lot of people have infiltrated themselves into all this looting and destroying stuff to make it seem as if this is what the black folks are doing.
That's what all of them are doing. That's the sole purpose of it.
And that's just the way I feel. And it's sad because, the way they're treating the cops. Those cops, my brother, as I put in the chat, he's a retired police officer from Florida. And we had this discussion about how, you got crooked cops, you got good cops. He was on the force for 25 years and never once pulled his weapon. And he also mentioned about this bank robber that he went to. And he was able to talk to the guy. They arrested the guy. But so we have to look at it, every cop is not bad. And the way these cops put on these uniforms and go out to serve and protect, all of them doesn't have that intention to do that. Some of them have a mindset of going out there to hurt people. But I just hope and pray. I'm just so heartbroken, and I just hope and pray that I think we're sending a clear message. And at Perfect, I don't remember her other name, but Perfect asked the question, do we think that this would happen again? I'm paraphrasing the question. I don't think it will happen again. I really don't. Because I think a clear message is being sent. And what I'm doing here in Illinois, I don't live in Chicago, I'm in the burbs of Illinois. I'm doing a lot of research so that I could send a letter to the governor of Illinois to rescind or revise the sexual assault statute of limitation.
Okay.
So because our state's attorney, Kim Fox, what the research I found out so far, they went to different states and they found that Kentucky was one of them, and they found out what these states were doing when it came to sexual assault. I never saw a proposal of this law that they implemented because I'm the one that if there's a proposal, then I'm going to voice my opinion. So I would encourage everyone in the chat, if you want to do something about this, write to your governor, write to your congressman. Right, that's the way, as you said the other night, Dr. Ross, in your chat, put the pen to the paper.
That's right.
It speaks volume. Because when you put the pen to the paper, guess what? They got to respond back to you.
Right.
And if we were to start doing this, I don't know the law. I never studied law. Well, I did have one criminal law class. But everything is on the internet.
Right.
Everything is at the library.
Right.
Everything is at the courthouse. All of this is not, it's not open to us now. But, in your spare time, if you want to see a change, start doing your research. And whatever you do, life blasts and death pads, please vote.
Right.
That makes a hell of a difference.
Right.
And we just gotta stand together. We gotta stop all this hatred. We gotta start embracing love because our country is hurting. And we see what's going on. We see how the people are trying to make it seem like the black folks are doing all this stealing, and there's some involved in it, granted.
Right.
But it's not all of them.
That's true.
It's not all of them doing that. And I was so glad that that sister caught those two Asian women.
Yes.
Right, doing that spray paint.
Yes.
She put them on blast, and I was so happy. And like she said, y'all make it, the media not gonna get this, but then they gonna say we did this. All this burning. Chat, Dr. Roger, I'm not being disrespectful to nobody.
Say what you gotta say.
There's one thing I do know. I don't care if you're a gangbanger, if you're whatever. Black folks ain't finna burn nothing down. We may steal, well, I ain't gonna say we, but steal, breaking and enter, but burning stuff down, I'm sorry. I don't see that. Going out there with hammers and shovels and I'm sorry. And a colleague of mine that lives downtown told me there was a whole row of bricks laid out there. Where'd they come from?
Yeah, I saw two young guys out there. Was a young black guy and a young white guy. They actually showed a pile of bricks that were sitting on the corner, and they were asking, where were the bricks coming from?
There is no bricks in downtown Chicago. Even when they're doing, I saw them over by where I work, right there at Clark and Jackson. When they're doing construction over there, they don't leave bricks and stuff like that around.
Right.
It's downtown Chicago, so those bricks was brought there and sat there for people to do what they're doing. I'm sorry, that's just the way I feel. And it's so obvious of what's going on. And here the president, made his little spiel this afternoon, but I just pray for him too.
That's all you can do with that one.
I put it out here like this. Every dog has its day, but guess what? A bulldog has 2 days. And his 2 days is shortening and it's coming. God got him already. He got to pay for all of this. Because in my opinion, he's behind it all. That's just my opinion. Dr. Rogers, thank you for your time, because I'm about to start crying, so I'm going to get off of your chat.
Thank you. I appreciate you calling in.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, have a blessed one. That was Basic Mom, y'all. The guy that she just mentioned on there, the POTUS. Now, I have to be really careful when discussing this guy. Before I get into that, because that's going to take a minute. Before I get into that, there's something else I want to touch on. Since we're talking about these people, these chameleons that have been coming around and, playing a part so that they can, blend in and doing things to make it, throwing the rock literally and hiding their hands or handing off the rock to some suspecting person, and they're just handing it off, here, throw this, and you just got somebody that don't really know any better. In Illinois, since we got some Chicago folks on here, let me give y'all this. An Illinois man, a man from Illinois, he is now facing Fed charges as of yesterday. He's facing Fed charges for initiating violent acts in Minneapolis. So Matthew Lee Rupert, he is a 28-year-old man. He was down in Minneapolis with a buttload of explosive devices. And what he was doing was he was giving the explosive devices out to some of the protesters or some of the people that were there, you know, and the riots and all that stuff. So he was handing out these explosive devices and telling these young folks to throw the explosive devices at the law enforcement officers. And that's what they did. And they caught him because you know, when people are, I very rarely call people dumb. I'm sorry, y'all got a little chilly. I very rarely call people dumb. But this is when you see dumbness in action. He was so proud of what he was doing that he was posting this stuff to Facebook. So he has one video where he hands the thing off to a person and he says, "Attaboy, good job, boy." Wait a minute. So he has one video with him doing that, and then he has another video where he asked someone to give him some lighter fluid. And he went into the Sprint store and he set the store on fire. And in the video, he was admitting proudly to setting the store on fire. He was like, you know, yeah, I lit that whatever up. And then he's on camera again saying, "Let's start a riot. I'm gonna start some mess. I'm gonna start some damage." Like, he just all proud and like he's pretty much documenting his behavior. Thank you. So he was doing all this stuff, and then he went back home. He went back home to the IL thinking that he had done escaped it all. Because y'all know these people wear these masks and they doing all this stuff. And one thing I wanted to point out, Basic Mom, I know you said something about the little white band or something that they've been wearing. But I've noticed that a lot of the chameleons that are out there that are really coming to do some damage too, one of the things that I picked up on watching all these different lives was that a lot of them were wearing all black. A lot of them were wearing all black, and they had more of a tactical face mask on. They literally had on real gas masks. And if you look, they wear all black. All black. Now that's something I'm literally like keeping count of the people that I see. And if I see them doing something, I'm like striking them off. Okay, yeah, you one of them. You one of them. Like, that's one pattern that I've seen out there. So they're definitely there. But this guy, this Mr. Matthew Lee Rupert, once he got back to the IL, and he was picked up by the Chicago Police Department on yesterday when he got back to the IL. And as of today, well, it happened yesterday, but as of today, he is in federal custody. So you're out here running around doing this stuff. Eventually, the truth comes out. Eventually, the truth will come out. So now getting back to your homeboy. So today, and actually yesterday wasn't too bad either, but today we had a lot of peaceful protests today. Specifically, you had the peaceful protesting in Washington. And, you know, the people are out there, they're doing their thing. And you got your man. That's him. I'm gonna call him man. You got your man out here, and you know he has this call with all these state and local leaders, telling them that they're basically cowards. You guys aren't utilizing the military the way that I want you to utilize them. I'm giving you access to the military police. You don't want to take advantage of that. All you want to do is let these National Guards, men and women, just stand off to the side like babysitting your town. And he's calling these guys cowards. And, you know, everybody ain't going to take too kindly to that, because you got some of these people that are actually concerned about the people in their city. They're concerned about the people in their towns. They're concerned about the people in their states. So yeah, you had a few folks that got with man today. And I'm gonna give you an example of one of them that got with little man today. And you know, man didn't like it or whatever. I mean, it's not like he ever likes anything really. But this guy, he didn't cut any corners when it came to expressing what he felt about old dude. So let's just, let's take a look.
Leadership now more than ever, and it hurts me to no end, because whether we vote for someone, we don't vote for someone, it's still our president. But it's time to be presidential and not try to be like you're on The Apprentice. This is not Hollywood. This is real life, and real lives are at risk. And I ask the American people to please join with the police, stand together. Let's shift this to where it needs to be, to the voting booth. Pay attention to the hearts and of the people that we elect. And the reason this stuff happens is because too many people right now in this country that are throwing bricks and damaging property never bother to vote. So you have a choice. Lift up your voice, be heard in the voting booth, and continue to march peacefully. So the focus remains on bad policing, criminal policing. And let's be real honest, this is not just about policing. It's about society and this disproportionality of the things going on in our country, from education to health to food to everything that we all as human beings hold near and dear. So please, please don't react to that. If we just hug one another, the only thing that will happen to overcome hate is love. And love and engagement. Let's engage and let's do what we can control, which is our own actions, our own hearts, and exercise without fail our right to vote.
Police Chief Azevedo, those are very strong words, and particularly you are a Cuban immigrant. You came when you were 4 years old to the United States, and you are the police chief, the first such in the city of Houston. So I want to ask you lastly, there have been reforms planned, made. For instance, in Minneapolis, the police force did implement training on implicit bias, on mindfulness, de-escalation, crisis intervention. It did diversify the department's leadership. It did create tighter use of force standards. It adopted body cameras. In other words, it did all this stuff, but it did not work. Chief Azevedo, what is it going to take? How much reform? How many of these, playbooks? What is it going to take?
Listen, Christian, that's a great question. And here's my response from my heart. What we're seeing is not just about the death of George Floyd. What we're seeing is a response to not just police brutality. What we're seeing is a response to disproportionality of wealth and everything else in this country. Let's not kid ourselves. Unfortunately, when good policing happens, which happens every day in our country, it doesn't make the news. Tens of millions of contacts every year in very dynamic situations. It doesn't make the news. We're the most visible cog of government, and when we get it wrong, there's no excuse. We can't excuse it. We have to accept it. But don't kid yourself into believing that the rage is just because of what happens with police. It's about society, from pre-K education all the way up. So please, let's just keep moving the ball. I promise you that the police chiefs are willing to lead. We need police labor union leaders. It's time for them to either step up and be part of the solution, or we're just going to have to get elected officials to be doing what they need to do, which is to do everything we can to weed out bad cops so we can lift up the very vast majority that are honorable professionals and really deserve our support.
Well, Chief Azevedo, we thank you, and we thank you for leading by example. Thank you for joining us.
All right, so that was another chief that came out and spoke up today, and I agree with what he was saying, and I think we've all been saying this the incident that happened with Mr. Floyd did seem to be a trigger for a lot of people, but that's not the only thing that people are out here protesting and all this for. There's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of anger, and it's pent up. It's stuff that has been there for years, and it's all coming out at once. But like I said, I think that everything happens for a reason. And I think that certain things, I hate that George Floyd had to be almost like the martyr in all of this. But it's, at such a time as this, these things are coming out now. And like I said, we got to respond now. We definitely have to respond now. As you heard, he said that man just need to hush, because what he's doing right now is basically he's just adding more fuel to the fire. Just keep adding fuel to the fire. And they feel like he's just trying to rally up his base. And I think it's working, because in one of the states, I'm not sure what state it was, but you had your protesters, and then you had the anti-protesters that came out, and you saw a bunch of Confederate flags and all this stuff. And I'm like, so now we back on this West Virginia stuff again. Let people go ahead and express themselves and go about their business. But, this is a time that people see now, it's time to come out. They're getting too much attention. They're making too much noise. We got to go out here and show them that we still exist. And so you saw that in at least one state yesterday. But what I saw today, you had all these peaceful protests in DC, and I'm sure there were protests in other places, but I'm speaking specifically on DC right now. And you've seen even the police presence all over. They've backed down some. They've backed down some for the most part, and they're giving people their space to go ahead and like get it out, because the more you agitate the crowd, the more you agitate the crowd. The more you agitate the people that are there to, create all this anarchy and confusion and looting and just tearing everything down. So a lot of them have just backed off. Okay, in DC, you seem like you had a peaceful gathering, and everybody's out there. They're holding up their signs. It was a good look. And then slowly but surely, you saw different entities coming in, different areas of law enforcement come in, different agencies coming in, and that peace that was there slowly started dwindling away. While simultaneously, we have this report that, Man is getting ready to come on, and he's going to make a speech about the rioting and all that stuff. So you already know. So all of a sudden, this peaceful rioting and stuff is met with tear gas, and all you see is gas flying, and people they're shooting rubber bullets and all this stuff. And you're getting ready to do a press conference in the Rose Garden, which is on the other side of this. So in the midst of you doing that press conference, you're going to be able to hear all this stuff. You got, the other big wigs standing off to the side, like they're just, standing watch or whatever. And Man gets up and he has this smirk on his face. And I'm really watching his body language, and it was, it was a proud moment. He did everything except, salute. He was very proud of what he did today. He was extremely proud. And to me, it was almost like, a kid, getting that toy that everybody wanted, or, You know, you got the J's that everybody wanted. They don't have them yet, but you got them. So you walking all proud and stuff because you feeling like you that dude. And that's what I got from him today. Excuse me, y'all. So I just took some notes on a couple things that I heard or that I saw from him. And one of the first things that he said with this smirk on his face, he says, I have a duty to protect this country. That was the first thing. The second thing he said, and he got a side eye from me from every angle. He said, I am your president of law and order. I am your president, the president of law and order. I'm just saying, when you gonna start obeying the law? I'm just saying. I'll delete that out later. And he said that he was here to protect us. He's here to protect the innocent. He's here to protect the peaceful protesters. You know, he's just here for us, you know. And another thing he said is that our country always wins. And I'm listening, and I'm just listening. And another thing he said was, we only have one law and order. Now, I'm going to press pause right there, because if you're saying that there's only one law and order, then that means that you're basically you're not acknowledging the fact. You are intentionally not acknowledging the fact that for years, there has definitely been more than one law and order. That's what these protests are about. This is exactly what the protests are about. Because you have a different set of laws over here for this group. You got a different set of laws for this group. You got a different set of laws for this group. When it comes to order, you have different like bylaws for this type of order for this group over here. You setting different sanctions over here for this group over here. Like nothing is the same across the board. There is no consistency across the board. So when you come up here and say that there's only one law and one order, I want you to take it back to elementary school and do like my teacher used to do. And I need you to write that on the board until you mean it. Because your actions say otherwise. But that's what he said today. There is only one law and order. Maybe talking about the TV show. I don't know. And I think it was two of those. You had Law and Order. You got Law and Order Special Victims Unit. I don't know. Don't get me started. He said, where there is no justice. I got excited for a minute. I said, is man about to say there's no peace? Man say, where there is no justice, there's no liberty. Okay. And then he went on to blame Antifa for all of this. And everything has to do with some far left group and all this buffale. And I'm saying at the end of the day, I need you to understand that when and if things come down to racism, that comes in red, that comes in blue, it comes in purple. Let's not go and just blame one group of people when you're not pointing your finger at the main group of people. Hey, Lisa, how you doing? I'm just saying. Y'all don't hear me. So Man went on to say, he bragged about bringing all these people in. He said that, you know, they had deployed thousands of military troops to communities. He deployed thousands, and he still has 600 to 800 more on the way. And he basically said, for all of these coward leaders that can't handle their own state, he's going to bring in all the power of the military. He's going to bring in, and they're going to take over the states, and they're going to make sure that these states are where they are supposed to be. First of all, who are you to be turning military men into police officers? Unless that's their job. I'm just saying. So what this guy was talking about is he's going to reenact a law from 1807. All right. Now, for those of you that are paying attention, I need you to remember that there's another case that's going on where people went back and they pulled this law from way back when that they're using right now in order to get the things done that they want to get done. So he went back and he pulled this thing called the Insurrection Act of 1807. This law was effective as of March the 3rd, 1807. And ultimately what this act does, it gives the president the authority. It gives him the right to use military troops to suppress civil disorder, insurrection, and rebellion. So what you are basically declaring is that we are currently in some state of civil war, and you're calling in the military troops to fight their own people because you feel like they're being unruly. You feel like they're being rebellious. You feel like they're being disorderly. So you're declaring war on the people that put you in office? I don't know. Let me move on. Whew. Now, what this law actually says, because once again, we got another misinterpretation of the law. So the fact that he's trying to pull these people, the fact that he did what he did in DC today, unless the governor over there, the governor of that beautiful state, unless the governor asked for him to call the military in, then what he did was illegal because he used those military troops for his own personal gain. He wanted them in there, and I agree with every commentator. He wanted a photo op. He had to get those people stirred up. So he had those people go in right before he came on that TV, right before he went and showed his little pretty shot in the Rose Garden. And he had them go out there and start tear gassing those people. So it would look like the people outside were unruly. So it would look like they were participating in civil disorder and civil discord to make it look like they were being rebellious while he was giving his speech, so that what he was saying would make sense. So y'all see, these people don't know how to act. That's why I got to call the military in. In order to bring the military in to someone's state, you have to go through that governor. That governor has to make that request. If that request is not made by the governor, then you are in violation of the very act that you're putting out there to use against your people. Just like they tried to force Minneapolis, he tried to force Minneapolis or Minnesota to bring in military police, and they said, no, we do not want military police. Send us the National Guard. That's all we need. We just need extra boots on the ground. We don't need nobody else coming down here trying to tell us how to police our people. We don't need that extra confusion. Just give us some extra bodies. But he's trying to get people to think the same way that he's thinking. Go lock all these thugs up. Stop being so soft with them. I'm just saying. Again, y'all, the phone line is open. The number is 803-888-8268. If you would like to call in and voice your opinion about what's going on right now, the current state of our union. We got a mess on our hands. We got a mess. But I can tell you that what I'm seeing right now, when people being called out on site, people getting fired on site, because folks have started opening their eyes. I said it before, I said it again. This man, y'all know this man called DMX. He said that somebody showed him that he was blind and everything was black because his eyes were closed. Well, people, it's time to freaking wake up. People are waking up. Now you need to stay up. You need to stay woke. You need to stay woke. Now, somebody asked earlier, what are some of the things that we can do? So this beautiful organization that I am a part of, I won't call them out while I'm doing this, but we have our boots on the ground. And there are some specific things that, let me just get into it. In the words of Biggie Small, relax and take notes. So what are some of the things that we can do? Now is the time. Now. The fierce urgency of now. Now is the time to, if we don't have them created, now is the time to create, to build relationships with our local and our state leaders. This includes your governor's office, your mayor, your sheriff, your city councilman. Everybody, you need to start building some type of rapport with these people so that when you talk, they'll listen. You need to raise your voices to demand policy reforms And you got to do enough so that you'll have a seat at that table when it comes to having these discussions. And going around here acting the plum fool ain't going to get you a seat at the table. You need to start creating partnerships with local organizations that do the type of work. Start talking to people who you might be able to link up with so that y'all can start getting some things going. You have certain issues that you can touch on. And I hope y'all taking notes, because y'all asked me now. I gave you some stuff the other night. I'm giving you this again now. And this is from a people. So I want y'all to get this now. Either you're about this life or you're not. These are some of the issues that can be essential. What they need to be essential parts of your discussion. So one of the things that, and I spoke about this the other night, but let's get back into this again. One of the things that we need to be having a discussion about is all police wearing body cameras. And let me take that a step further, because it's not about them wearing the body camera, because we see in Kentucky, these people had their body cameras on. They did not have them activated. There needs to be a requirement for people to always, if you're on duty, I don't care if you're sitting at your desk eating popcorn, darn it, you need to make sure that when you move, that body camera activated. Only time that body camera should be turned off is when you handling some personal business in the bathroom or doing something that don't have nothing to do with your job, off the clock. If you're on the clock, that body camera needs to be on you, and it needs to be activated, because if a situation happens, even if you're not, not out and about on the streets, stuff can happen in that precinct. We saw it this week. Stuff can happen in that precinct. What's the day? Monday, last week. Stuff can happen right outside of the precinct. You need to make sure you got that body cam on. And if nothing else, if you getting in that car and you got to go beat these streets, that need to be a part of it. Don't worry about clocking in. Okay? Forget about punching the clock. You need to punch that button on that camera. Activate. Like you a Power Ranger. Whatever you got to do, activate. Next thing, implementation of de-escalation training of law enforcement. I mentioned this again last night. I need y'all to know that law enforcement gets training in de-escalation. The thing is, you getting training from somebody that don't know how to de-escalate their darn self. So if that needs to be people from outside agencies coming in to do that training to show you how to effectively communicate with people to keep a situation from de-escalating, then go set the appropriate funds to the side, appropriate, darn it, set the appropriate funds to the side to make sure that the officers have the appropriate training and de-escalation techniques. Because some of the officers that are even being sent out there right now to handle these riots and all this stuff, they need that training. They need that training. These are discussions that we need to be having. These are the things that we need to be trying to get put on the table. The next thing, and this one is major. Boy, they ain't gonna like this. What about requiring law enforcement to go through psychological evaluations? That's going to start some trouble right there. Because the thing is, if you got some buffalo in you, they need to know that from the beginning. If you're dealing with some internal power struggles, they need to know that at the beginning before you go and get somebody's gun in your hands. So psychological evaluations for people that are trying to become cops. Shoot, before that cop go to the academy, before he is allowed to go to that academy and get that certification, that psychological evaluation needs to be completed. and scored. Just saying. And the results need to be decisive before you hit that academy and get somebody's gun in your hands. I'm just saying. The next thing, review of your jurisdiction's policies on use of force and a review of its alignment to best practices. You need to try to familiarize yourself with your area's use of force policies and their best practices for those policies, and are their officers, are their practices in line with the best practices? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing when it comes to use of force? Because what we're seeing right now, no, it's not about best practices. It's not. Right now, it's about me getting you down by any means necessary. And if I don't like you, I'm going to take you down the way that I want to take you down, as long as I got that report written up right. Understand what I'm saying? I got to make sure I whip that pencil right on this report and make it seem like I was doing the stuff I was supposed to be doing in the line of duty. No, those are not best practices. Align yourself with your jurisdiction's use of force policies. And start doing some investigation to see if they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Requiring the collection of statistical information on excessive use of force complaints. This is something that can be done. Is it being done all the time? I'm going to say no. Because a lot of times when use of force is being used, the only way it's going to be reported is if the other officer don't agree with it. If there's another officer there, if he or she doesn't agree with it, they might report it. Or if the person that you use excessive force on, they might report it. But it's their word against yours. And I doubt you're going to go in there and tell the truth unless there's a camera. Just saying. So one thing that I've learned in this business, especially having to go and do analysis of things and doing reports and submitting my findings, one thing that I do know, and I'm not speaking behind anybody, I can go and give you a report based on real evidence, based on factual statistical information. And when I see the information from my report in a public platform or published in a certain place, those are not the numbers that I gave you. So you're going to make that report fit whatever you need it to fit. Now, I ain't saying nobody that I know did that. So don't get me wrong, because I don't need nobody coming for me. I'm just saying it happens. It happens. Mandating the creation of a citizen review board, a citizens review board to review police misconduct complaints. I can tell you right now, you start looking at police conduct complaints, boy, somebody gonna be coming after you. You're gonna get a speeding ticket every day. You're gonna get a speeding ticket every day. Every day. Nah, I'm playing. But for real. When you get to the point where you start trying to hold folks accountable, especially somebody that already has this inferiority complex or this superiority complex, let me tell you something. That's that narcissistic person. You really gonna have something to deal with when you try to check them. Because it's a narcissistic person that feels like he has more power over this person and literally has the power to take someone's life. You're beneath me. Your life means nothing to me. I gave you life. I can take this life away from you. Now, it may seem crazy, but in that narcissistic mind, let me get off that. I ain't trying to go to class today. The next thing, and this is big for me, how about suggesting that they require a unconscious bias training for the officers? Now, I say this is important to me because a lot of people are walking around with unconscious biases. And whenever you try to talk to them about it, they will swear up and down. And I hear Black people doing it too, so don't get it twisted. But the minute you mention something about racism or people having specific prejudices, then they are quick to say, "It's let me do this as a Black person. Let me do this as a Black person now. I don't have a problem with white people. I got 3 white friends." Press pause. The fact that you even know that you got 3 white friends, that means you need to go and check your own jacket. You understand what I'm saying? Because I don't walk around keeping track of the who's and the what's or who I associate with. Because what? The fact that you have to come back with that as your defense. I don't have a problem. Y'all know I'm being facetious for a minute, but y'all know where it's going. I don't have a problem with Black people. Shoot, I got a color TV. Y'all didn't catch it. Y'all didn't catch it. Recognizing those unconscious biases. Because we always say that we want people to be unbiased. Whenever there's a jury selection, we want an unbiased jury. We need to make sure that there you go, basic mom, somebody got it. We have to make sure that we are not walking around carrying a backpack full of bias in all shapes, sizes, colors, forms, whatever. We have to make sure that we're not walking around with those things. You know how sometimes a woman will have a bag. I'm about to call the ladies out for a minute. Have this big bag and they looking for stuff and they don't know what's in the bag. Like they just start pulling everything out the bag. I mean, they like Mary Poppins in that bag. You know what I'm saying? First they pull out a wallet, then they pull a TV out the bag, then they just pulling all this stuff out the bag. They don't know what's in the bag. They're unconscious, like they have no knowledge of what's in their own bag. That's what we're talking about. People that are walking around with an unconscious bias, they have no knowledge of, they're not mindful. They're not cognizant of their own biases. So you may do something because you're dealing with this type of person and you don't even realize you're doing it or why you're doing it. Like the person where when certain people walk by their car, they automatically, boom, hit that lock button on the door. You know what I mean? Or you may see people when certain people walk by them, you know what I'm saying? They either clutching 2 things, either they bag or they pearls, but they scared. They clutching something. And they don't even realize that they're doing it unless someone calls them out on it. You have certain people where, depending on the type of person that they're talking to, their whole attitude changes. I mean, just change. They just like they're ready to go on sight, and they don't even know why. A lot of times it's that unconscious bias that you are not aware of. And that's why I say this right here for police officers, this would be something on top of that de-escalation. They need this before the de-escalation, because if you recognize those biases that you have, then a lot of times there will be no need for de-escalation. If you can call those biases out yourself, then you can tame that monster. But there's a bit of self-awareness that has to take place, and you have to be open to that. So if you tackle those things, again, that de-escalation, you don't have to do as much. Because you don't have to walk around mad all the time and not know why you're mad. Because that's what happens with a lot of people. All right, the call to action. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to give you guys a chance again to see if you want to call in, and I'm going to call it a night. You can call Attorney General. I'm saying Attorney General. Lord, what's the child name? The district attorney. You can call, what is his name? Keith Ellison. Keith Ellison. You can call him. You can go to the website. You can demand. Now, this was based on it being Mr. Freeman, but now that has changed. You can demand that a thorough investigation be completed. At this point, I don't know that we even need to do that part, but you can call and demand or send emails or whatever about your thoughts on him only having this third-degree murder charge. Now, Mr. Ellison said he wasn't going to rush anything. Don't try to push him into doing something, because he's trying to protect the prosecution on this case. When I say prosecution, I'm not talking about the people that are prosecuting the case. He's talking about the case in general and his ability to properly prosecute this guy. Got to be careful. Another thing, you can contact your U.S. senators and demand that the Senate debate and vote on H.R. 1 for the People Act. I'm giving y'all some stuff now. Write it down if you're trying to do that work. Contact your U.S. senators and demand that the Senate debate and vote on H.R. 1. This is the For the People Act that has passed the House of Representatives. H.R. 1 will restore the Voting Rights Act and limit voter suppression. This limits voter suppression. This limits voter suppression. And it's critical as we look ahead to the November elections and the futures of our community. So that's one thing that you can do where they've been trying to suppress all these votes and stuff. That's something that you can do. Contact your U.S. senators and all these folks and look, do something with this thing right here, because we need to make sure that every vote counts in November, regardless of who you're voting for. We need to make sure that every vote counts in November. Anybody that's in Georgia, anybody that stays in Georgia or any other state that does not have a hate crime statute for that state, for the people that stay or reside in those areas, what you can do is advocate specifically for Georgia. You can advocate for the passage of H.R. 426. H.R. 426. This is the hate crime bill, H.R. 426. Why is this important? Because you just had these people in Brunswick, Georgia, that went and brutally shot Ahmaud Arbery down in broad daylight, and they are not facing any state hate crime charges. Now, the federal government is trying to charge them with some things, but they can't face any state hate crime charges. So if this bill were to be enacted or executed or whatever, then that's something that's very much needed in places like Georgia, especially when you got people using stand your ground like it's they're just misusing it. So you can call your governor. I'm not going to put this stuff in. I told y'all to get a pen and a piece of paper. So if you need to just rewind or whatever, do that. You can call your governor at 404-656-1776. You can call your lieutenant governor at 404-656-5030. You can call your Senate at 404-656-5040. And you can call your state judiciary at 404-463-1314. Go back and get those numbers and the people that those numbers belong to. In states like Arkansas, South Carolina, Wyoming, you need to get in contact of your state assemblies immediately, and ask for immediate passage of a hate crime bill in your state. So I'm giving you guys this information because now is the time for us to start busting a move. Okay. If you don't want to call it busting a move, you call it whatever you want to call it. But now is the time. We are in the fierce urgency of now. And if you're tired of seeing all this mess going on, it's time for us to do something. We got to stop walking about it. Stop talking about it. We got to start walking about it. Now is the time. It's not enough to just sit around doing videos all day. It's not enough. Darn it. Now, the phone line is open. The doors of the church are open. Okay, so the call-in number, if you want to call in, the call-in number is 803-888-8268. That's 803-888-8268. I'm going to give it a few minutes, see if anybody wants to call in, express your opinions about what's going on right now, express your frustrations about what's going on right now. If you are actively doing something in the community to help combat some of this stuff that's going on right now, let us know. Let us know what's going on. Because you may have some people on here that are from your area and they're trying to find ways to help. So each one teach one. Each one teach one. Let me catch up. How do I get? Oh, wow, I didn't even see. What in the world? Okay, I'm playing catch up. I don't know why I wasn't seeing these messages. There were peaceful marches around Riverside County in California. We had to step in peace, sleep in peace. The march was huge. They shut down the 91 freeway at 14th and University. That's what's up. That's what's up. Oh, shoot. Y'all, man is something else. Yeah, man is something else now. All by himself. All by himself. What does Joker type? It's always one. Thank you for getting that, Lisa. I don't know who it is, but thank you. Thank you for getting that. Basic Mom, that's right. The Insurrection Act of 1807. That's exactly what it is. We sit every day with the leader of this country. Hey, Pico, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? You're welcome, Basic Mom. So I gave you guys some things that you can look into, some people that you can contact, some things that you can do. Right now, while all this stuff is going on, the most important thing, recognize chameleons. Recognize the chameleons when you see them. And if you're out, you know, trying to do a peaceful protest or just trying to get some things done, you know, recognize those people that try to, you know, like be real slick about holding you up, trying to keep you from doing what you're supposed to be doing to make things better for your folks. So recognize those. What else do we have? Let me check something out really quick before I get off here. Up in here, up in here. Another thing, George Floyd's brother had came out to the memorial site today, and I think I mentioned that earlier.
They don't seem to be giving up. They just seem to be constantly moving.
But again, he came out and was asking people. He just straight out says, "Stop it, darn it!" He says, "Stop it." Just stop it. Like, that's not what their family stands for. They don't agree with the foolishness. They don't agree with the buffale. That's not what they're about. I'm gonna pull this up really quick. I'm going through the lives real quick to see what's going on with these protests around the country. So I'm gonna do that really quick, and then I'm gonna ease up out of here. So again, in the meantime, if you have something to say, the phone line is open, 803-888-8268. 803-888-8268.
LAPD officers climbing through all of the things that were blocking the door here at the pavilions on Melrose and Vine.
This is in California.
Access into the store to find if there are any looters left inside.
So people are looting again tonight. This is in. See, this is why they're giving people a curfew.
It's a big store, so a lot of officers are responding to it.
It's a
to get in there and figure out if anyone is left. This is Melrose and Vine.
Sincerely, me, Bree, you do whatever you got to do, child.
Are there looters inside, or?
Yeah, so they had heard that there were looters inside. They already took a few into custody, but the doors were barricaded by the store, we believe. So they had to move everything out of the way in order to climb in there and get into the store. Yeah.
Let's go this way.
I'm gonna say it again. Looting is stealing. It's stealing. You can call it what you want to call it, but it's stealing.
Stephanie, is the store okay? Is it okay if we stay on this?
Let's see if this one is back up. Okay, so this is back in DC. I could be wrong, but I think they had a 7 o'clock curfew.
Sorry, yeah, I didn't expect that. Come up to me and yeah, it's common in the chat. Their go-to just have 12. Yeah, you know, it's been a long night.
At this point, it seems pretty calm. You see there's some cars driving down the highway, so
Sure.
check out Hollywood. Let's see what's
And
going
then
on over there.
they're checking to see
Again.
if there's anyone else in there. We hear a following though, but we know that the booth is about to use our shot for a tease. So they're bailing. Never mind. It's over. Hey, 30 seconds.
All right, we're gonna go
up, and the Hawks head coach is leading the charge.
Living in fear,
to Atlanta.
Being concerned when you see a police officer as an African-American man, this isn't new. That part is not new at all.
Atlanta Hawks head coach Lloyd Pierce, vulnerable and outspoken, leading the charge with the National Basketball Coaches Association.
You better
It's
speak
powerful
up.
to see the vulnerability, to see the efforts that we have initially started with regards to proposing some action.
They're developing a new committee on racial injustice and reform to pursue solutions within NBA cities.
If I'm not in this job in a year or two, you know, it shouldn't affect what we're trying to do with regards to the racial injustice.
Coach Pierce, along with coaches across the league, are encouraging players to use their voices about racial injustice.
It's not just going to take just me. It's not just going to take just you. It's all of us coming together and doing this as a collective unit.
We have to encourage them all to feel comfortable and know that they can use their platforms to speak their minds, because they have a huge platform and a lot of people that look up to them, and it's important that they share and express how they feel.
For years, Atlanta's history has been one of peaceful protests. Last week, Atlanta Police Chief Erica Shields gave her input about protests and how these conversations have been happening now.
We're going to skip
As
over to
police
Texas.
have continued to detain them one by one.
No, and in fact, we know there's been a pretty big effort online through social media to raise money to pay the bail and other legal expenses for a lot of the protesters who knew they were going to be arrested at some point over the past couple days. That has been a big effort. Again, from what we have seen here, the protesters, you know, as he just mentioned, or as Rebecca just mentioned, they left that area of outside the courthouse, left the actual curfew zone. And let's get back to Rebecca, because I understand you just talked with a source and you have some new information, Rebecca.
Yes, so one of my sources says that they've decided they're going to release everyone, even the ones that are already in handcuffs. And
Good.
not sure why that decision was made, because they arrested 100 other people yesterday for the same. But that's kind of what's been happening throughout this whole process when I've been talking to my sources, and it seems kind of chaotic. The commanders will make one decision and then they'll make another, and there seems to be just chaos at the Dallas Police Department about what to do with these protests, as well as now what to do with all these people that they just arrested. I mean, they're bringing in more people now. They keep calling the commanders they've requested. Now this is DPS, all still headed to that bridge, but I'm being told, at least what this particular source is telling me, is that the decision is going to be made to possibly let them go, that perhaps there's also been some discussions with prosecutors as well. Because again, typically when you violate a curfew, it's only a ticket. It's a 500, but because of the way the order was written, and they're trying to keep destruction out of downtown Dallas, they're trying to keep, more vandalism from happening and more officers being assaulted with rocks and protesters being hurt and, all of this stuff they're trying to avoid. So that's why they put this curfew into place. So, but all these, they were in violation, not necessarily maybe of the curfew, but also of just blocking a major thoroughfare, which you're not allowed to do.
Okay, guys,
and
I'm seeing something. I'm not sure what this is about, but I just want to
slew of deep
play it. It says 5
Let's get
detained.
to some other local headlines tonight. 5 people have been detained in connection with a string of hit and runs in DeKalb County, one of which was deadly. The Marietta Police Department says they found the SUV involved in 3 incidents. Police say it was stolen from the victim of the first hit and run. That victim later died. Later, the vehicle matching the same description ran into a family of 6 on their bikes, injuring a child. DeKalb County Police have now taken over that investigation.
Oh, Jesus. This was the thing that I was telling you about with the college students that were taken out of, were drugged from the car.
That has been shared across social media. A pair of Atlanta college students tased and dragged from a car during protests Saturday night. It led the city to fire 2 Atlanta police officers, and criminal charges could still be coming. Today, those students spoke for the first time. 11 Alive's Andy Parati was there for that news conference. Andy, we learned a lot this afternoon.
Yeah, we sure did learn a lot from the couple and their attorneys, starting with the couple wasn't even involved with the protest. They were on their way home. Second, we learned that they are not quite ready to accept the mayor and the chief's apology. And Messiah Young, the young man driving, he suffered a fractured arm. Now, this all happened Saturday night, just after 9:30, near Centennial Olympic Park. Body camera video shows Messiah Young attempting to start recording cell phone video of someone screaming and on the ground under arrest. The officers then asked the Morehouse college student to drive away, then get out of the car. And then on the other side of the car, when they eventually stop, officers surround Young's passenger, his girlfriend, Tania Pilgrim, a Spelman College student. In seconds, police broke the driver's side window, slashed the tires, and officers Ivory Streeter and Mark Garner deployed their tasers, shocking both of them for 10 full seconds each. Less than 24 hours later, the mayor and the police chief apologized and announced they had fired 2 officers. The young woman who was shocked, the passenger, listen to what she had to say just moments ago.
This is the most traumatic thing that has ever happened, and I hope ever happens again in my life. I'm very shaken up. I don't even know how to act, what to do. I just can't stop thinking about if cameras weren't there, or if they would have went a little bit further. I can't stop thinking about what could have happened. Like, it's all that keeps crossing my mind.
Now, the police chief has recognized this does not help their ability to calm fears right now in the African-American community as it relates to police brutality. The district attorney office is investigating whether charges will follow for the 2 officers. The attorneys for the young couple say that they also want some sort of action involving 3 other officers who are now on desk duty. You're going to hear a lot more from them coming up tonight at 11. Back to you.
All right, Andy, thank you so much. Still an ongoing situation. If you missed any of that news conference, you can find it on our 11 Alive YouTube channel.
I'm going to show you guys the response.
Now he's standing there looking around after what was, frankly, a pretty undignified
This
approach
is what
to
we saw
St. John's
today. This
Episcopal
was the
Church,
photo
where he was
op
holding
that
up
the
a
troops
Bible.
were calling for.
Walking by some graffiti saying "No Justice, No Peace" and FTP, which people can figure out what that stands for. Holding up a Bible.
We have a great country. That's my thoughts. Best country in the world. Great. We will make it even. And it won't take long. It's not going to take long. You see what's going on. It's coming back. It's coming back strong. It'll be greater than ever before.
It's going to be greater than the greatest thing that has ever been great to hear.
Shouted out questions to the president as he is there across the street, as we said, with his staff, massive security detail holding up a Bible. I'm just listening here along with everyone else, just to pause here for a moment of the president setting up this photo op for himself, dispersing peaceful protesters to do so in front of a boarded up church.
Lord, I'm surprised that Bible didn't catch on fire. Woo!
You can see him standing there. I think it's important just to talk about the image. He sees this as his big photo. You saw him sort of, caring about the moment and the photo, now bringing everybody in here for his photo op. That's what this is all about for him.
Let's just look at the people that he made sure was in this photo with him. Let me make this a little bit. Hold on. I need this to be a little bit bigger.
We're gonna
so y'all can see that full photo right there.
Monitor this and listen.
Yeah, look at that.
Don, to the point that the governor was making, the president wanted this photo op, and he wanted to disperse that crowd.
I love y'all
because he is, he wants an image of this all of these protests being one thing, which is violent, which of course is not accurate.
Yes, and listen, we work in television. We know when someone is producing a moment, and we know this president comes from a reality show background. And the fact that he says that he is going to protect protesters, peaceful protesters, and then sends in military or police officers to push them away when they're being peaceful it's just really outrageous. And Aaron, we're New Yorkers. Donald Trump standing in front of a church with a Bible? Really? Let's just be honest here. When was the last time Donald Trump saw a church? Even before he was president of the United States. When was the last time he cracked open a Bible? I'm just saying, this is all for show. Donald Trump is pretending in this moment.
No, Don.
President. Let's just all be real about this. He's pretending to be a president.
No, Don.
He's mimicking the person that he adores, his hero, George Patton, and he wants to return to some sort of 1950s sort of dominance for America. That's what he's doing. This is all acting. It's all a show, and he is performing in country what he thinks a leader should be like and what he thinks a president of the United States should be like.
Tell him how you really feel.
This is a very, very dangerous game. He is possibly igniting tension. Not possibly. He is igniting tensions. I know more. I hope this doesn't turn out to backfire on him, because if it does, it's not going to play out well for many people in the United States beyond the president of the United States. But if it does, we will watch those images play out on our television screens, and America will see this. This is all about getting reelected.
Hold up. Let me hit pause real quick. Let me put this big. Okay. The views and opinions that are being expressed on these video clips are the views of the people that are making said comments. These views are not the views of Dr. Rogers or Carolina Diamond Epiphany of Change. Thank you. Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
November of 2020. I'm not sure how much this is going to help the president. This may help his base, but sensible Americans will realize, and they know, America is not a dictatorship. America is not a police state. When people are crying out to be heard, when they are protesting on the street, that means they are angry, they are hurt, and they want to be heard. We have the strongest, biggest military force in the world. We have very strong, very big police forces all over the cities and municipalities in this country. We can stop rioters anytime we want. We can stop looters anytime we want. We can stop people who are breaking laws anytime we want. But what we can't figure out is how to deal with people who are hurting, Americans who are just like us, who live in the same communities, if not adjacent communities, who share the same land and the same values. We cannot figure out how to get along with them, bring them into the fold, and as the president of the United States, represent those people and engage those people without sicking the military on them, the armed forces on them. There is a problem and a lack of understanding and empathy coming from the highest office of the land.
Oh,
and
my.
the person who holds that office is Donald J. Trump.
Oh, my.
Now
Woo!
he's standing there looking around after what was, frankly, a pretty undignified.
Woo! That joker got my bun all twisted up. Lord have mercy. I can't even get it together. Whew. Let me just go on through these comments. Mara. I wish they would just say that God is watching y'all thieves. Do what you do best in the midst of this crisis. I saw a video of people putting a mattress. You know what? Now, I did not see. Y'all, people are doing the darn most.com. You hear me? A whole mattress. Okay. The looting is not necessary to the purpose. We need the peaceful protest, but in doing so, we have to remain. Thank you, Pico. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We have to remain lawful. When we go out doing all this illegal stuff, then it takes away from the message. We telling people not to do illegal stuff, and then we turn around and do it, and that's where all the attention goes. It's no longer on the message. Stop stealing. Sticky fingers. It's not just a restaurant. Stop stealing. Dang. Birmingham has a 7 o'clock curfew now as well. Should charges be brought on these corrupt officers? Shouldn't be a question. Absolutely. Still no mask. Don't even get me started on that. The link to that video. Bree, which video? Was that the one with the boy and the girl in the car? The students, or the one with your man on it? I'm done. No, he doesn't have a filter. Bless his little asthmatic heart. That part, stay in your lane, stay within your rights so they aren't taken away. Yeah, we can do this without stealing. I'm telling y'all, y'all don't get me on that soapbox again. I can't stand a thief. I can't stand a thief, darn it. I can't stand it. Jesus. Just knuckle up with me instead of stealing from me. Oh, Lord. Oh, okay. Let me put it up here real quick. Let's see here. What old man? That one. You talking about what old man? Man. Okay. All right, so that's the post to that one. The link to that one. 3 busloads of protesters in Dallas, Texas are being arrested. Some were laying on the bridge and others violating curfew. Janie Lee, if I'm not mistaken, we just watched the live. If I'm not mistaken now, and they said that they were going to let all those protesters go that they had rounded up tonight. I don't know if that's the same part of Texas, but we just watched one live that said that they were planning on letting all the people go that they rounded up tonight, just tonight. You mean to tell me he had to go to the church with the Bible he couldn't prove? Praise God. I ain't gonna say nothing about that. Y'all, know what I'm talking about? They gonna be selling that stuff next week. That's how we ended last night. Somebody came on here talking about some people breaking into the Dollar Tree. And that's why, you know what? I forgot I put that post up. Hold on. Let me tell you something. And Lord, forgive me for saying this, because this don't even sound right. I ain't gonna say it. Ain't gonna say it. Who's buying it and we under a pandemic? Sincerely, you know we got to do it. Yeah. What a man. Where's this thing at here? All right. So I'm looking at y'all comments. The Dollar Tree is cheap as is. Everything in there is $1. Timothy, I think the coronavirus numbers are going to skyrocket. And it is going to look like that second wave, but it's not necessarily going to be a second wave. This is going to be the, I'm pretty sure they'll come up with a name for it. But this won't be the second wave. This would be like the riot wave, or something like that, because I honestly do think that there are people out there that are trying to, that are trying to intentionally infect people. But getting back on this Dollar General thing for a minute now. See now. Okay. When I hear about you breaking into a Dollar General, now, see, it would make one think, pure speculation, but it would make one think, one of sound mind and body, it would make one think that you have something, certain types of tendencies. You understand? Now, there's a word called head, and then there's a C word that goes in front of that. It would make it seem like you have some of those tendencies. Now, I can't say what I want to say, but I know I got a smart group of people on here, and there's certain things that you do. You look like you have those tendencies. Those C-head tendencies, if you will. Now, oh Lord, I think I feel my help coming on. Why? Jesus, why? I mean, like you straight having a Pookie moment. Do you understand what I'm saying? My folks understand what I'm saying. You having a straight Pookie moment. You know? It be calling me. It be calling me. Y'all know that moment. Y'all. Oh my. Oh my. Jesus, Joseph, and Mary. Jesus. Lord. Help me. Dollar General, not even Dollar General, Lord, because it's cheaper than Dollar General, the Dollar Tree. Oh, that's the go-to store. Oh, I missed that. Oh, okay. My bad. My bad. My bad. I didn't know. Cats almighty. You might catch the have after the holidays and such. No earthly reason is there. But it's the Dollar Tree. It's the Dollar Tree. You got $100, you can darn that about the whole darn store. It's the Dollar Tree. Right, Smokey, right. Okay. I'm curious to know when the folks went home with all that stolen stuff, what was their reaction, the response from the parents? I'm asking for a friend. Basically, Mom, I'm gonna tell you what the response was from the parents. Because I saw it all. The parents were driving a getaway car. I saw some of the parents pop up the trunk. They couldn't fit nothing else in them trunks out there. You hear me? They were driving a getaway car. And I don't know if y'all saw last night. I don't know if I was on the live or if I was in my bed. I could have been dreaming. All this foolishness, I could have been dreaming. But they had a high-speed chase. And it was 3 people. I mean, these people were going $120. You hear me? They were going $120. They had the police cars behind them. They had the choppers up top, 2 choppers up top. Finally, he veer off on one exit. You know, the police go do that maneuver. Boom. He get the little side hit. It spins the car around. These jokers, all 3 of them, they all take off running. 2 run in one direction together. 1 run in the other direction. They just forgot about him. They just left him. And these 2 right here, they stuck together. So I guess they were friends, girlfriend, boyfriend, cousins, brother, sister, brother. I don't know. But they taking off and they running like some fools down the interstate, you know, jumping in trees and jumping over ravines and all kinds of buffoonery and buffale. And jumped in some bushes and some kind of way, like a car stop. Yeah, it was a bunch of buffoonery. I don't know if they caught them jokers or not, because I went to sleep. Like I said, I could have been dreaming this whole thing. I could have been dreaming this whole thing. But I want to tell you that it happened in LA or somewhere in California. But I'm like, right, basic mom, hush your mouth and keep on talking. I'm like, what did they do? And you know what came to my mind? Yo, I know what it is. I know exactly what it was. Those were the people that robbed the Dollar Tree. Yeah. Because anybody that think they crazy enough to get away from all those police cars and those choppers up top and they running down the middle of a freeway, they got to be the ones that robbed Dollar Tree. Yeah. The world's dumbest criminals. Exactly. Exactly. I'm sitting up here like, what did I just walk into? Sitting up here trying to take up for my folks, talking about we ain't the ones out here with the buffoonery and the shenanigans, breaking into these stores and taking all this stuff. And then I turn on this live stream and they're going Uncle Bobo and Ham and little Kiki over there, and little Chris, little Tonton, everybody in there. Just, I'll be darned. Too much. Too much. The fact that people think the government is Velma from school. That Velma is Scooby. Lord have mercy. The government is Velma from Scooby without the glasses. When this all dies down, they would be picked up, or warrants would be sent out. Exactly. Exactly. Just like the dude that came in from Illinois and they went and let him get settled in his little house, and then they came and picked this behind up. You know, he thought because he went pew pew that everything was gonna be gone. He going dropping bombs over Baghdad and think he just gonna go and sleep the night away like he didn't just do what he just did, you know? And that's what they were saying about the people breaking into the stores. Like, Lord have mercy. You can't even come up with a side story for breaking into the Dollar Tree. I mean, if I was locked up, I wouldn't call nobody because I don't want to give them an explanation. And God forbid they put you on the news, okay, for vandalizing the Dollar Tree. Shit. We're going to act like this didn't happen. It was all a dream. It was all a dream. It was all a dream. Oh, my. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. You know, first I thought it was the people walking around like the men in black, you know. Y'all gonna give me that was a black person that robbed that Dollar Tree. Lord forgive me. That was a black person that robbed that Dollar Tree. Somebody gonna be at the flea market Saturday. You heard me. Somebody gonna have a market. In market because they about to get some coins off that stuff. Mess around. Shoot, they might have had some disinfectant spray in there. Y'all know what I'm talking about? And hand sanitizer. Y'all see somebody putting stuff up on Etsy and Wish and Facebook, and they talking about they got Santa in lots of 10. Y'all know what's up. Y'all know what's up. I'm telling you. I cleft for God. I cleft for God. I dropped my pen. Y'all know what's up. Y'all know a Pookie tax. Y'all know you got to find something to laugh at with this stuff because anybody. They would have did, man. They would have been better off robbing an ice cream man or something. Once again, you're messing with things that are like the Mecca of the black community. Why? Just like somebody said something on here about them burning down the Popeyes. Where they do that at? Okay, I saw they burn down Arby's. Okay. I even saw they burn down Wendy's. It's just something about them girls with that red hair. I don't know. But it's certain things you violate the code. Don't get me wrong. Don't mess with people's stuff. But you violating the code. Okay. For a person like me that do event planning and stuff, and that's my little side stuff. You know, most of my decorations come from the Dollar Tree. You messing with the church's money. That's why I'm so upset. I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know. It's something about this corona. This corona got everybody tripping. I'm guessing. That's what I'm saying. This thing is this guy was trying to sell me and sent. Where did he get those sandals from? The Dollar Tree. Today was Rite Aid. Oh, Lord, they done hit up the cannabis store. You see what I'm talking about? That is a strategic hit. That is not because anybody's mad because about the injustices and all this. They ain't got nothing to do with that. They ain't got nothing to do with that. That's somebody that's just a little weed head that wants some cannabis. That's what I'm talking about. Either that or they need some rent money. And they're about to get their sale on. But to go to that extent, no, they smoking that. They probably baking it. They cooking it. They probably drinking it. Whatever they can do with it. They having cannabis kebabs, you know, cannabis souffle. I don't know. These people done lost their minds. And again, hitting up the pharmacies. Y'all know what type of people these are that keep hitting up these pharmacies. Now that explains why somebody go and break into a Dollar Tree. The person that broke into the Dollar Tree was the same people that broke into the Rite Aid and the marijuana store. Know what I'm talking about? The number you have dialed isn't receiving calls right now or is no longer in service. Please check the number. Oh my gosh, y'all. I'm not buying nothing out of nobody's trunk. Yeah, you don't mess with a Dollar Tree. Man. No, Dollar Tree gone and some cents on it. You gonna go in there thinking you spending $1 per hour. Come on. Come on. Not a tax. Not a tax, right? Not a tax. Should have never gave you people nothing. Oh my. They tried another Walgreens, but some of the protesters stopped it. Good. Jeez. Stupidity gets the most time in jail. The judge look at that and say, you are getting 10 years for being stupid. The Pookies and Felicias. Oh, wait a minute. Say it ain't so. Wait a minute now. Press pause. And I'm going to get off here because y'all ain't on. We got to get back to the business. You know. But they hit a Walmart. Y'all understand that hitting up Walmart is almost like them hitting up Lenox Mall. You understand what I'm saying? You don't touch Walmart. Or how do people say? You don't touch the Walmart. You don't touch the Walmart. You know. It's too much, y'all. And again, this has nothing to do with what is going on. This has nothing to do with that. This is just the people, and I'm sorry if you one of them. I don't apologize in advance. This is just somebody being ignorant, because there is no excuse for you going and breaking into people's stuff like that and setting all this stuff on fire and just running around acting a plumb fool, and then you doing it in the name of George Floyd. Like, put some respect on that man's name. If you a thief, just say I'm out here stealing because I'm a darn thief and I can't keep my hands in my pockets. Like, just say that. Don't go around acting like you doing this for the movement. Don't do that. Don't do it. It's another high-speed chase. See what I'm talking about? See that? Jesus. A lady posted her and her boyfriend looted her engagement ring. You know what? On that note, well, if I get the other stimulus money, they won't have nothing to spend it on because they have stuff. You sure won't. Because these stores, I mean, they stole everything except the nails in the walls. Everything. They stole the air out the building. I mean, everything. Now, we want to talk about no respect, little disregard for humanity. Like, this is some bull. This is some bull. Like, and who in the father gonna go around bragging about getting a stolen engagement ring? Get yourself together. Well, hopefully they'll get married together in the county. I'm just saying. There is a chaplain there. Jeez. Yeah. I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna go and collect my thoughts. I'm gonna go and collect my thoughts. Hiding in the liquor store. See what I'm saying? Today we went over the new Lord have mercy. The two independent medical examiners, we went over their reports, what they found in their reports. We went over the update given by the county medical examiner. They made some addendums to their preliminary report. Ultimately, all reports showed that George Floyd's death was ruled a homicide. It was not caused by natural causes. It was man-made. It was man-induced. It was caused by this Chavez dude. So that's what we had our discussion on today. You also have a new attorney that is prosecuting the case. It is no longer Mr. Freeman. It's Mr. Ellison that's prosecuting the case. One-time congressman. He actually ran for some kind of seat somewhere. I forgot where it was. Black guy. That was a result of the governor saying that he spoke to the family. Jesus, the offense. He spoke to the family. He spoke to the family, and the family expressed their concerns and, the concerns that they had about Mr. Freeman prosecuting the case. And the governor, he said he listened to the family. He listened to some of the protesters, some of the stuff that was being said. And he said that he felt like this was a way to try to restore some of the trust in the community by putting this other attorney on the case and allowing him to work the case to the best of his ability. Mr. Ellison came in and, he's like, I know a lot of people want me to go ahead and get these guys locked up, but I'm going to take my time on this because we want to make sure that we're going to get this right. He said that his goal right now, he's trying to protect the prosecution. He's trying to protect the case to make sure that it goes the way that it's supposed to go. We had a little conversation about y'all little man and his buffoonery and all the antics and the buffale of today. We talked about the guy from Illinois that was bringing explosives to the protest in Minneapolis and was handing them out to people. All those flash bangs and stuff that y'all were hearing, that was him. He was giving them to people, and he was telling the people to throw them at law enforcement, and that's what they were doing. And he was giving them an attaboy, you know, you done good. He was giving them all that and little craziness, posting videos on Facebook. So they went and picked him up yesterday, you know, and now he's in federal custody. We talked about the cops pulling the college students out the car. We talked about them getting fired. We just had a conversation on a lot of things tonight. We covered a lot. The guy in Philly pushing a washer and dryer down the street. Lord have mercy. You know, I'm gonna get off here. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I wanted to give you the information, but I don't want to keep it so serious that like we so stressed out and tense that we can't still have candid conversations. If you happen to see somebody pushing a washer and dryer down the street, I'm gonna leave that one there. I'm gonna leave that one there because that's gonna start a whole other conversation. Y'all, if you see somebody doing this foolishness and you have the ability to say something without getting into some kind of physical altercation, you know, just let your voice be heard and keep it pushing, because this is straight and utter foolishness. And these folks are trying to make us look bad. And look, we already got enough problems on our own. We don't need no help from nobody. We're trying to get things together. You understand what I'm saying? Jesus. Y'all, let me get on off here. I appreciate all y'all. Lord, first Dollar Tree. Now we got people stealing a wash and dryer and pushing it down the street. Jesus. They stole the forklift from, you know what? All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. I can't even read no more. I can't read no more. Bye. Jesus.